Hello everybody, it's vanburman here, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at Jay's 2 Senses' latest video. Not the one I had planned today, but this evening I saw his latest video that he has put out entitled "This Laptop Was Trying to Melt to Death. Here's How I Fixed It." And I think the reason that I decided to do another video on this is because it's quite interesting in compared to his sponsored Origin laptop review, because it does feature that particular laptop. So, you know, I figured we'd go through it together, or I would stop it where I've got comments to make, and then we'll edit it down and see what he's got to say on the old Origin 3950X laptop. So I've just got it in a window here. Jay, look, I know you're taking up most of the screen, but I prefer if I didn't get a content claim match this time, please. I am evaluating your work for fair use. I know it was resolved last time, but I just wanted to make that point really for this one. So let's begin.
Ever since we did this video on the Origin AMD laptop, this has a 3950X 16-core processor in it, whether or not temperatures and stuff can stay under control. And I've always told people, yes, the temperatures in this are perfectly fine, but recently we've noticed the temperatures in this starting to climb.
So this is one of the questions that I particularly asked at the time in my video, you know, talking about thermals, noise normalized thermals, noise as well. And it's something that he said in the original video he was going to address and then never did, unfortunately. And that was a big shame for me, because I feel like it was a big part of, you know, what should make up that review. Well, he's called it a review later on, but a review. And being a sponsored one as well, you've got to have even more integrity when it comes to that side of things. So one of the things I will note is, because he doesn't make it obvious exactly which video it's referring to, he doesn't link it in the description or anything like that, but he does have a link in the description down here. Oh, you can't see it because my head's in the way, but where he shows off this, where he links to the stuff on Amazon that you can buy that's featured in the video. Now that laptop isn't on there for being featured in the video, so that's a bit of a shame, because it would have been good to actually 100% confirm that he's on about that particular laptop.
The Elite XG Swivel mouse shouldn't have really from
actually, I'm going to make a point about this. He did a video recently on a monitor and spoke about, I think it was I don't know if it exactly was that one or not, but another sponsored video, and once again missing out, you know, really key information for people who'd be looking at buying a monitor, especially, you know, sort of enthusiasts, if you want to call it, well, us that, because I guess I fall into that category.
But we started noticing two things. One, the fan speed on this has been increasing significantly because of temperatures rising in this, which has actually made it to where we had to go in and change the fan profile in this to make it quieter so it wouldn't be intrusive in our recordings. And second of all, just doing regular things have started seeing temperature spikes for the CPU that are pretty significant. So one
of the things I would say is we didn't see the noise tests in the review, but I imagine if you're putting this under load, even for, well, it shouldn't be for capture cards, but you know, it is going to get really loud, because they do.
Today we're going to kind of investigate this. Keep in mind, this is a desktop CPU. It is literally a full-on desktop chip that you would put on your full-size ATX motherboard, plopped onto a motherboard. A chip that usually requires a pretty significant amount of power and a pretty beefy power supply and VRM system, all crammed into a laptop. So if you guys haven't seen our review of this, we've done one in the we've done our video about this in the past. We didn't really open it up and take off the cooling solution, because when we do our reviews, we don't want to disturb any of the thermal pads or thermal paste in there, because we want to keep our reviews as out of the box as possible.
Now he does look at this later, but he did remove the thermal stuff and the thermal pads, and he always does say that he has thermal pads and obviously paste lying around, and surely the whole point of doing an in-depth review, especially around laptops, is their cooling and their heat pipes especially. Yeah, just something. Continuity errors are fine, but you know, I feel like when I've already seen a good amount of him being disingenuous previously, just thought I'd call that there. Yeah.
But one of the ways you have to understand that they keep these these systems under control is, one, there's less wattage available to them. So whereas this is like a 125 watt part, I think it's 125. Phil can put the actual number here. I believe it's 125. This one's limited to about 75 watts or so, which is significantly.
This is quite interesting because we were told that it would beat a desktop 3900X, I believe. Okay, and the 3900X runs at 105 watts. So if we look at this in conjunction with our previous video on Jay, he's now also saying that this 105 watt part that is running at 75 watts can beat out another 105 watt part running at 105 watts with a beefier VRM. Better thermal paste to get to that. And, you know, all the full motherboard support and power delivery that it can offer.
Less power that you would get with the CPU. As such, that limits the boost clocks and the actual core clock so that it doesn't go as high, creating as much heat or as much need for power draw. Because remember,
so we were also told that it performed pretty much just as well as the desktop 3950X. Now we're being told it doesn't hit the boost or core clocks, apparently, of that. So this absolute fallacy that the 3950 in this laptop, as impressive as it is, 3950X in this laptop, to be in there is not more powerful than a 3900X. Simple as that. And I already know what's going to come next. He's going to talk about the amount of wattage that the power brick can give you. And yeah, there's a good reason that you're not going to run a 2070 and a 3950X on, I can't remember what it is, 250 watts, I think. We'll find out.
Remember, we are limited to a 200 and, what is the wattage on this guy right here? 230 watt power brick. And we also have our GPU in here, which I forget what it is at the moment, that also has to be powered off of that. This is our full-size RTX 2070. So that's a, but look, all I did was do Control-Alt-Delete, and you saw that it spiked up to like 72C, and now it's coming back down to 65. So let me bring this back up. And what you'll...
So bearing in mind, this is just something he talks about now, but the core clocks on the CPU are running at, it does actually throttle really low, to be fair, which is good for a laptop, and I think it should. To, what's that, 279, 224, 223 megahertz at 61 degrees. Now, I know there's obviously an issue with it, but gosh.
You'll notice is that we start, see 67, 64, not doing a whole lot will make the temperatures on this sort of climb, like really, really fast. So bringing up a web page here, I'll just kind of put this over to the side so you guys can see. Look at that.
Bringing up a web page, Origin PC, don't forget.
It's at 1.27 gigahertz at 55C, which already to me tells you something is clearly not right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and...
I'm not really gonna labor on this point because it's very similar to the last one with regards to the core clocks and temperatures. But yeah, it's always nice, isn't it, when, you know, you maybe perhaps do a follow-up to your sponsored video when you have some issues. That would be nice.
That's the battery, by the way. Not a very big one, because this is the kind of system, it's only 62 watt hours. This is the kind of system that you absolutely, positively have to run on the brick because of the level of hardware that's in there. Otherwise, you are not going to, you're not going to get very good performance out of it. We'll get this.
So now this is the thing that I guess prompted me more than anything to make the video. And here is, I didn't want to say it, but I think I'm going to have to. This is where sort of Jay's journalistic integrity, if you want, or influencer integrity is completely null. Because now in this video he talks about it having a 62-hour battery, which is like nothing. Absolutely, you might, I don't know how many double A's that is. But, you know, it's atrocious for a laptop of any size or description. Then he talks about the fact that it's not going to run at full, which we already know it's not going to run at full capacity. But, you know, maybe the question is, as a laptop, how good is it portably? How long does it last for? You know, and how long does it last for at getting any sort of performance? Because I know by having a gaming order, gaming grade laptop, the performance is cut down massively in order to save on battery life. And it's a laptop. You know, you can't do a laptop without having some sort of recognition of its portability and how good it is when it's portable. And I think, I'll be honest, if he hadn't made this point when I was so, I don't know, disheartened, I guess, or surprised, shocked, I don't know, disappointed that it wasn't mentioned, I wouldn't have been making this video now.
My review of this, we might have taken this apart. It would also mean any paste issues is mine. Okay, maybe I did take it out, I don't remember. In fact, oh yeah, that paste does not look good. Look at that, ugh. Yeah, let's go check the review. So Phil's looking at the raw footage from that project file, and there I am, taking it apart. And look, that looks way better than what's on there now. And look, that looks way better.
Difficult to tell, but it could be the same paste.
Better than what's on there now. This is what happens when I listen to the internet on the right way to put on paste. So,
also, what kind of comment is that, and what does that mean? You've clearly, I mean, it looks, oh, you can't see because my face is in the way, but it looks to me like you apply the right amount of paste. Maybe it's maybe the mount hasn't been on there properly. Maybe it didn't mount it down as well as it could have been. And then it wasn't making full contact, dried out a bit quicker. I don't know, I'm purely obviously speculating, but these are all points that should be made. Look at that for a battery compartment.
I know that, because I was gonna say, it was not running this hot.
This guy though, I like this guy.
On us before. Shut up! All right, we'll clean it up. Some KPX on there, which stays nice and gooey all the time. And we'll compare. But
so I'm going to give Origin the benefit of the doubt, because usually if you take stuff apart and you put it back together, you do habitually, you know, remove and repaste the thermal compound. So I'm going to say that if it was a thermal paste issue, it's likely Jay's fault, not the manufacturer's fault. If he's not clamped it down, it's also the issue he's created. But the fact that it's over time is a bit of a bizarre one, because I can't imagine someone like Jay using, you know, 20 cents thermal paste from AliExpress. So yeah, I don't know, bit of a bizarre one, but there's obviously, you know, potentially quite a few issues it could be. Application seems fine to me.
so now that we have verified that I'm the one that repasted this, it means obviously Origin's not at fault. I thought I repasted this, I couldn't remember.
Well, you don't know that Origin's not at fault because you didn't run it in its stock configuration for long enough before making the review.
But now we're gonna see how much of an improvement it made. So I use the KPX on here, which is the Kingpin Extreme. So I use the KPX on here.
Surely, Phil, that bit should have been edited out. What are you doing? I don't know how much Jay is paying you, but God, sometimes I do a better job at editing than him. No, Phil is pretty good, to be fair.
Which is the Kingpin Extreme thermal paste, which works at all temperatures. I used it because one, it never gets hard. It's literally the best thermal paste I've ever used, and it goes all the way down to liquid nitrogen temperatures. So clearly this shouldn't have a problem. First things first, the fans are not blaring the second it boots up, which is what I was experiencing before. I mean, listen to that. Yeah, it's actually in the 40s for the first time. As things are loading and booting up, this would hit 70s, as you guys saw. Look at that, 48, and look at the fan speed. Look how slow it's going.
So one thing I will say in Jay's defense is that obviously Ryzen does tend to peak at times, especially on boot up. But once again, maybe the fans blaring element maybe should have been something spoke about in your original review.
So this is actually really promising. So you guys remember it was going down into the mid 70s, but it was also extremely lowering the clocks. So let's just do a run right here and see what happens. 70C under load, 76. But if you look, it's spending way more time in the 3000s. It's actually at 3300. Again, that's amp.
TLDR, it now runs fine, and there's clearly something amiss with the paste and or the mounting. I don't think there's anything else really to mention. Just the fact that he ramps up the fans to full speed to get the best he can, the best score that he can on Cinebench. Clearly, obviously quite loud, as it was in his original review just when he was doing the Windows updates. But, you know, all that's to be expected. I don't think there's really anything else. We'll just see what his ending remarks are.
They're still roughly what they were before. I don't think the GPU paste was as bad as the CPU was. The CPU was all cracked and stuff. You can see how easily just repasting something can certainly improve your performance. So there you go. We had to investigate what was causing the CPU to run hot. Might as well have taken you along for the ride. And as you can see, it was a bad thermal paste job done by yours truly. Go ahead and write all your hate comments down below.
Okay. So that was Jay's final remarks. I guess I should make mine in reply to that. The KPX thermal compound, I'm not sure if normal people can buy it. If you're, you know, not friends with Vince, I'm not sure. Anyway, regardless of that, he obviously can use whatever thermal paste he wants, and obviously if it's the best that never gets hard at all, then yeah, sure, why not? Brilliant. That makes sense. So we've touched on a lot of issues in this particular video that supplements the first one I made. Just seems to be a lack of integrity from Jay, especially when it comes to his sponsored videos. I've noticed that going forward, there's a lack of information, and I always find it most telling the stuff that isn't spoken about. That's always where the red flags come up. And if a reviewer isn't talking about a particular topic, especially, you know, if you're doing a monitor review, there's going to be, you know, a top 10 list of things that you want to know about. Anything, or top 20, I don't know. Anything on there that's omitted, I'm becoming very cynical now that it's omitted because it's an issue. And you don't want to upset your sponsors. And that is sort of how I'm feeling a bit with Jay, to be honest, especially when it comes to this Origin laptop fiasco at this point. Glad that he obviously got the laptop sorted, and whether it's his fault, Origin's fault, we won't know because that level of testing wasn't done. We've not had a follow-up review on these issues. Yeah, if you do sponsored videos in the future, I would like it to say in the title that it's sponsored, because then I know not to watch it, because it does get me down and it has me asking a lot of questions. But there you go. Don't change anything for me. I'm just saying it would be nice if you're a bit more open and honest. Actually, scrap that. I just prefer it if you're a bit more critical of your products that you get sent by sponsors. I'll leave it there, guys, but thank you for watching. Please feel free to leave any comments down below. If you disagree with me, that is fine. I get that. Sort of invested in this particular Origin laptop for some reason at the minute, and it's actually good and a bad thing that this came up. It's good because I get to revisit it. I get to have a look at where the stuff that Jay has omitted that he probably should have mentioned in his original review that he didn't, which is now called a review even though it's a sponsored video. Can a sponsored video also be a review? I don't know. You have to make those decisions for yourself. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll put the link to Jay's original video down in the description below if you want to go and check it out for yourselves, because obviously this was rather edited down. See you soon. Bye for now.